I have a very special view on cinema. Maybe what you know is that I'm a filmmaker of today, but also a restorer of films of yesterday. And probably because of that special view, the idea of asking me my judgment about Indian films of today is something that is, let's say, different, unique, and probably relevant. My life has been dedicated to restoring films, sharing films, and showing films around the world. In 2009, it so happened that I found the outtakes of a very unique film called Inferno by famous French director Henri-Georges Clouzot. And the only way to reconstruct that film that never was to make what one would call a documentary. I would call it a film. Not really a documentary, because part of it is fiction film of yesterday, part of it is fiction film of today, the rest is interviews or documents. Let's say the idea of documentary is a bit bizarre for me. You know, there's no new films or old films, there's no documentary or animation or fiction, there's just good films and bad films. I'm a good friend of Amitabh Bachchan, and I'm also a big fan of a few Indian films that came to France. And of course, the last one is Lunchbox. It's not difficult. That film was all over the place. But the Indian cinema we see in Europe is mostly Indian cinema made for abroad. So it's not really the core of Indian cinema. And that's part of the deal. I'm coming over, but I would like to see what your cinema is all about and learn more about it. You know what's the most important thing in cinema? The audience. And in France, we have the author cinema, famous directors, famous everything. But let's say the audience decides. That doesn't mean that the largest audience means that the film is better. Some films have a narrow audience that works with the film. But if a film doesn't find an audience, then maybe it was not exactly made as it should have been done. But just the same way, every magnet has his positive, has his negative, every film has an audience. And when I do films, when I restore film, the first thing I think of is who's going to watch it. I think that's the most important. If you talk to someone, there has to be someone. That's exactly the same thing with cinema. The secret of happiness is not to have what you want, it's to want what you have. So let's see what I have.